Welcome back to the Swearwolves. I'm Bret. You are about ready to listen to the second ever Swearwolves podcast. Yes, as we're going back in time, we're doing this now. We're going to post all the old episodes on our YouTube channel. This episode is from September 17th of 2018, a long time ago. And this was our second episode, so we thought, what better thing to discuss than sequels? Not all sequels are created equal is the name of the episode. We talk about sequels that we liked. We talk about sequels that maybe we didn't like so much. Sequels that were part of a franchise but maybe had nothing to do with it. Halloween 3 would be a prime example. Friday the 13th Part 5 would kind of be an example of that. We also touch a little bit on Son of Monsterpalooza and how we didn't go to that, but how we did go to Mad Monster and waited in line for about 8 hours to meet Robert Englund. We also talk about Walker Stalker Con. Those fucks. We ended up not being able to go because they went out of business. They took everybody's money. In fact, David and I paid for VIP tickets, I believe, and never got a refund because they're a bunch of fucks. So, Walker Stalker Con, fuck you. Enjoy episode 2 of the Swearwolves. Welcome to the Swearwolves Horror Podcast, the podcast that discusses all things horror. I'm Bret.
I'm David.
I'm Alan.
And this is our second episode, gentlemen. Congratulations.
Woo.
We're now officially a sequel.
Mm-hmm. And we're having our celebratory beer.
Yeah, what are we having here?
This is a Dirt Wolf double IPA. The name seemed fitting.
It did.
So as the podcast goes on and the glass gets emptied, our speech will get slurrier and slower, and we'll start talking about our various business ideas, and who knows, by the end of this episode, we might all be selling T-shirts or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a screen printing business.
Exactly. Well, I thought
we'll see where it goes.
I think we all thought this would be a good opportunity because this is the second episode to talk about sequels. Sequels kind of, I feel like sequels almost get a bad rep.
Agreed.
I mean,
sometimes deservedly so.
Well, a lot of times deservedly so.
Usually.
But the reason why movies have sequels is because they were popular in the first place, and we want to be in that world more. Filmmakers or studios, obviously, they want to capitalize and get money, right? But the reason why their sequels are successful is because people want to be part of that again. Whether we're talking horror movies or not, comedies, action films, people want to see more of these characters. Horror movies, I think I was telling you guys earlier, it's like you can make money off of any horror movie. Horror movies, I was telling my son was talking to me not that long ago, telling me he wanted to potentially be a filmmaker when he's older. And I said, if you're going to be a filmmaker, make horror films because those make money. You can make them for cheap. And as long as they have a decent plot, they'll make money.
You can recycle them.
Yeah.
People love horror films. I don't know why we do. I like being scared.
Yeah, and I think the expectations are generally lower too. Like horror fans tend to also appreciate crap. Like like it's almost endearing in a way. And I don't think I'm not expecting an Oscar-worthy script or anything or a very compelling story. Like I just want to be entertained.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It's like Rocky movies, right? I love the Rocky movies. I love anything Rocky. I know they're not.
Yeah, you already know what's going to happen.
I know it's not The Godfather. I know it's not whatever. But then when a really good horror movie comes out and it becomes mainstream, look at Silence of the Lambs. I mean, people call that a horror movie. Misery was probably more of a horror film, right? But that was hugely successful. Even without like famous people attached to them, like those were really well done movies. And when horror movies are done well, people appreciate them that much more. When horror movies aren't done well, the horror fans still appreciate them.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they want to be brought back in there. So we're talking about sequels that we liked. Let's first start off with sequels we liked better than the originals.
I wrote down a few. And a lot of these are ones that I really liked the first one. So I couldn't think of any where I thought the original was terrible, but the sequel was great. But for me, Evil Dead 2 was one that came to mind immediately. I just find it's a lot like the first one, but a lot more fun. I felt like everything was amped up in the sequel.
If someone hasn't seen Evil Dead 2 and they've only seen Evil Dead, what would you explain to them Evil Dead 2 is? A remake.
Evil Dead 2 is Evil Dead 1.
Exactly.
It's a very similar. Yeah, that's a good point.
Army of Darkness
is a
good sequel.
And I like that more than to be honest, I like that more than the Evil Dead also. The trilogy, The Evil Dead's probably my least favorite, and I still love it.
Well, it's also the lowest budgeted one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Evil Dead 2 is definitely better than
they were
Evil
just
Dead.
getting started. Another one too that for me was The Devil's Rejects. So I actually enjoyed House of a Thousand Corpses. I know a lot of people didn't.
I loved it.
I thought it was cool, especially the first third or so of the movie. And then I think as it goes on, it gets off the rails a little bit. And I think the ending
Definitely goes off
the
the
ending
rails.
is terrible.
Yeah, Dr. Satan.
But that opening scene at the gas station with the robbery, it's pretty awesome. Anyway, we're talking about sequels. But The Devil's Rejects it was a totally different kind of movie. It still existed in the same universe, but I liked that was like a gritty crime movie. And it was kind of like, and it was a road trip movie. Like it introduced some elements that weren't in the first one, but still had the horror and these sadistic, terrible people that you couldn't help but root for.
Yeah,
and I liked it introduced a couple of characters like Ken Foree's in that one, and I thought he did a really good job. I found that
he plays
one,
Spaulding's brother, right?
Yeah. Well, quote unquote brother. There's not much of a resemblance there.
You don't think?
Yeah, I don't know. But I found the sequel just overall much more enjoyable movie. I'm hopeful that the third one will deliver.
William Forsythe is in that, right? He plays.
Yeah, he's in the second one, getting his revenge.
Yeah, because they killed his brother in the first one. He was one of the cops that they have the slow motion killing of, right?
Where they get shot 1,000 times, yet somehow they pulled it off because there's a third one coming. So I'm very curious to see how they.
Do we ever see them? Doesn't it end like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, where you don't see them get shot?
No, they're if I remember correctly, they're flopping around and.
I gotta watch Devil's Rejects again.
It's a good.
I think I loaned my DVD to somebody and I never got it back.
They really, Rob Zombie really milked that one at the end. I don't know if you remember, like the entire song "Free Bird" plays,
and that's a long song.
It is a long ass song, and they drag it out. And I remember even seeing it at the theater, I was like, all right, like.
Did you see House of a Thousand Corpses at the theater?
I did.
So did I.
And it was kind of cool because I have a friend that managed. I don't know if he still does, but at the time he managed a movie theater. So every once in a while we would get to watch movies before they would come out. We'd go in and we'd screen them and check and make sure the movie's good. And that was one that we saw, and it was like really late. It was like past midnight when we started the movie, and it was like on a Monday or Tuesday or something. And I remember when it was over, like we all walked out and we're like, God, that was a really weird movie. But yeah,
you have to talk about it.
But I liked it.
Anytime a movie, House of a Thousand Corpses was one of those movies that I had to talk about after I saw it. And
For sure.
Devil's Rejects was that way too. I personally like House of a Thousand Corpses better, but I can see why someone would like Devil's Rejects better.
And Devil's Rejects has a special place for me too, because at the time, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I used to write for a horror movie website called zombiekeeper.com.
Oh, nice.
I'm not plugging them. That website is long gone.
GeoCities.
But it's history. But I was one of their staff writers, and that was a movie I actually got assigned to review.
Oh, nice.
So, and I think that was the first one that I got to review. So I went in the movie theater with a notebook, writing in the dark. So when I got home, it was just gibberish. I couldn't. Decipher.
So that's how you got the Pulitzer. I was wondering how you got that.
Yeah, I was like, so I enjoyed that, and I got to write the review, and yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
But I that movie will always have a special place in my heart, and I just think I find it superior to the first one.
I think as far as sequels go, can't overlook Dawn of the Dead.
Agreed.
I think the first one's iconic. Night of the Living Dead is so iconic, and not to be off track, but I actually prefer The Night of the Living Dead by Tom Savini from 1990.
We should talk about remakes sometime.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I love that one. But back to sequels.
But also that's blasphemy. but we'll address that in a later episode. You son of a bitch.
But Dawn of the Dead, one of my favorites. I enjoyed it much
Dawn
more.
of the Dead is definitely top 3.
Yeah.
Probably the top of the top 3 of zombie subgenre movies.
Yeah, no lie. Dawn of the Dead makes probably my top 10 movies. Period. It's on the list. It's such a good movie.
And
my top 10 of movies has a lot of horror movies.
yeah. So does mine. To be
And I would even say Day of the Dead. Well, no. Hear me
sorry.
The effects alone.
Savini does the effects.
The effects in Day of the Dead are fantastic.
That
gross.
That ending where those 3 guys meet their fates. Holy shit, man! They went all out.
I remember that being the thing about Day of the Dead was like, it was gross.
That was such a gruesome sequence.
The sounds and the visuals, everything was just gross.
And
but the
you could
movie,
feel it, man, when you were watching that movie. Great. Oh man, you could feel it. I thought the movie was.
I don't like the whole military angle.
And that one, the script is really like over the top, like, and some of the acting is pretty hammy and cartoonish.
The thing I like about Dawn of the Dead, watching it now, very much is it reminds me of what the malls were like when I was growing up. In the 80s, when my parents would take me to the mall, and my dad would be smoking while we're in the mall. And I'm what are you doing? And there was the piano store, and there was the
Schroeder's, and no one was ever in the store, but yet somehow they kept the lights on.
And there's like an armory where they had like suits of armor.
Oh yeah,
suits of armor and swords.
I go in there. I need to buy a sword.
It's like, why?
Yeah, you could buy almost anything in the mall.
Everything, and that's why it made so much sense. And at the time Dawn of the Dead was made, I mean, malls probably weren't that new, but they were relatively new. And the consumerism angle, obviously, we all know.
The social commentary,
and it's like, we're all going to go to the mall. Even when we're dead, that's where we go.
That's where we go.
Because they just are brainless.
They're just doing what they remember.
Yeah, exactly. So
this was an important place to them.
Dawn of the Dead is a great choice.
A perfect soundtrack, too.
That's Goblin.
Again with Goblin.
Yep. Yeah. We talked about Friday the 13th Part 2 in the first episode. It's a sequel.
That's
obviously
a fantastic sequel.
I prefer it over Part 1. I prefer Part 3 over Part 1. I prefer Part 4 over Part 1.
Yep. Part 6.
I would say the same
Part 6 is probably over Part 1. Part 1's probably the 5th best.
Yep, I would agree. Yeah, I'd put
but it's still good
in the middle.
It's definitely good. I'm not taking anything away. I mean, it's like going, if you're going to rank it like 10, 9.9, 9.8, 9.7.
Yeah.
Not saying that any one of those movies are a perfect 10. There's obviously a lot wrong with all of them, but I love those movies in general. But Friday 13th Part 2, I love better than the first one.
Yeah.
I do too.
And I think
Nightmare on Elm
Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3.
Part
Dream
3.
Warriors, yeah.
Part 3 is one of my favorite.
It's better than Part 1.
Yes.
You have to watch Part 1 though to appreciate Part 3.
I like Part 1 a lot, but Part 3, Part 3 is really cool, and you get more of the creative, like dream sequence type kills. Like Part 1, a lot of the kills are, somebody is asleep and Freddy is doing something, and we watch the person die. But like Part 3, like you're in that world, like the puppetry like scene, like.
So you have to watch Part 1 probably to appreciate Part 3 better. Dawn of the Dead, you don't have to watch Night of the Living Dead to appreciate it. So I will give that to Nightmare on Elm Street. However, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is a better film.
Part 1 is a darker film. Part 3 is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Freddy's not jokey joke Freddy yet. He's on the cusp.
You just get glimpses. That's the Welcome to Primetime, bitch, right? Is that Part 3?
Yep. Yeah. And that's the line. That's the line where Freddy becomes more funny.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do anything in Part 1. Like, he doesn't say anything, really, does he?
Doesn't say much.
And you don't really see his face. This is when they had his makeup the best also, I think, in Part 3.
Yeah, the makeup is good on that one.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on New Nightmare?
Wes Craven's New Nightmare?
Yeah, because honestly, I'd put that kind of in the same league as Part 3.
I've heard that. I haven't seen it in its entirety. I've seen parts of it.
It's cool.
It's very meta, though.
It is very meta. Like it was, and it came out. I think it was Craven's movie right before. I think it was the one right before Scream, which kind of built on the meta thing. But it's just very well done. It has good kills. Freddy's a little more human, but I really like.
He's definitely more serious.
At the time the movie was made, there was really nothing like it. Now, like the meta thing's kind of taken off, but like seeing Robert Englund as Robert Englund. Not Freddy Krueger, but then seeing Freddy Krueger as Freddy Krueger, like as two separate entities, was just kind of a cool concept.
There was a dip in horror movies in the early 90s, partly due to the sequels of Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, and just the crap that was produced off the success of those original movies, besides being those movies. There was so much crap.
They almost became parodies of themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. And so in the early 90s, there was such shit. Horror movies,
and they all look terrible too. Like they all looked like they were shot like with the same crew.
Oh yeah, they're all awful. And so I think like when New Nightmare, despite how good that movie may or may not be, nobody knew because they were all like, fuck this shit. I'm not going to go see this crap. It wasn't until Scream in 94, 95.
96.
Oh, was it 96?
96, yeah.
Sorry.
I saw it in theaters.
I did too. It was like
I didn't see it till it came out on video.
I wasn't supposed to see it in theaters, but I saw it in theaters.
I saw it. Yeah,
I found a way. So
my parents, who were very like conservative, took me and my sisters a year younger than me, so I'd have been 16 at the time, to see that movie at the theater. And I remember like being uncomfortable at a couple scenes, but there wasn't any nudity or anything like.
It was PG-13.
It was rated. No, it was rated R. It was.
I know, but she says.
Oh yeah, like the
about a
PG-13 relationship.
Yeah.
But I remember when we walked out, like the whole family, like all four of us, we walked out of the theater, like that was a really cool movie.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, we like all bonded over horror,
That's-
which is kind of
Yeah.
rare.
that's one of the first horror movies I remember where everyone is really attractive, like overly
yeah.
attractive.
Yeah.
And, you
it's and in hindsight, there's a lot wrong with that movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot right with that movie. Don't get me wrong, but it also so where I was just saying a bunch of crap came out in the early 90s, and then like this really good horror movie comes out, right? And
Yeah.
everybody's like back on this horror train, and then a bunch of crap comes out because of it.
Yeah. Let's watch Urban Legend and Disturbing Behavior.
And I know what you did last summer again.
Yes, and I still know.
and
it.
the summer before last.
I know what you
Wasn't
did.
the sequel called "I Still Know What You Did Last Summer," which isn't
Yeah.
accurate? It's "I Know What You Did 2 summers ago," technically, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I still know what you
I
did
still know
2
what you did
summers
last.
ago.
Like, yeah, it's like you gotta let go, man.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's dead except for
You're living in the past.
Yeah. So those sequels are all awful.
I'll go old school. I like Bride of Frankenstein better than the original Frankenstein.
Okay. So I believe I've seen the entirety of Bride of Frankenstein. Now correct me if I'm wrong, okay? The bride is only in about 10 minutes
That's
at the very
that's
end.
generous. It's probably like 4 minutes maybe. It's very.
So I'm watching
very
the
brief.
entire Bride of Frankenstein and I'm like, am I watching the right movie?
Where is she?
Yeah. And then it's like at the end, she screams and the castle gets set on fire
Yep.
and that's it.
She hate me. She does make some cool hisses like.
Yeah.
Like,
She's
what-
beautiful, by
Oh,
the way.
she's gorgeous.
You know, if they ever remade it, you know who I thought should have played her? A young Rose McGowan.
Oh, I was about to say
Yeah.
Helena Bonham Carter.
I could see both of them. Well, she played in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
That's
She was-
right.
She played Elizabeth,
That's
who
right.
becomes the bride. Spoiler alert
Oh.
at the end of the movie.
I never saw that one.
It's actually
Well,
not bad.
now it's spoiled.
I know, spoiled. I'm sorry.
I like the look of the bride.
Oh, it's iconic.
I just like her look. I'm whether attractive or not, she has it's just a good look.
Yeah.
I've thought about getting that tattoo,
I've
but I'm not going to.
Why?
I have the bride on my
On your sleeve?
Yeah, on the
That's why you can't do it.
inner
Dave
part of my
already got it.
arm. Her hair goes into my armpit hair. We become one, and that's how we become one.
Then when you get older and you have gray armpit hair.
Yeah,
that
it'll look
white
perfect.
streak.
I'll put a little white streak in there for authenticity.
No, it's not because I can't get the same thing as David. It's because I thought, because I already have the monster,
Yeah.
and I was like, my wife should get the bride.
There you go.
Oh yeah,
There you go.
I
Right?
like that. That'd be
Does she
cool.
have tattoos?
Yeah.
She got horror tattoos?
She doesn't have any horror ones.
Yeah,
She's got like Disney
she's
themed.
got to get the bride.
I think all three of us have horror tattoos.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. We could talk about
Yeah,
tattoos.
say that sounds like an episode.
in and of itself.
Yeah.
But all right. So Bride of Frankenstein, that's a good choice. I gotta watch the movie without just wanting to see the bride. I gotta watch it, and I just bought recently the Frankenstein Legacy collection. So I can watch a lot of those, and I want to show them to my son because
Yeah.
he's really into horror movies.
Speaking of sons, Son of Frankenstein's also pretty good. Though not, I would not. That's
Yeah,
not a
that's
sequel
on
that
there.
is better than the original.
No,
It's not.
that's on there too.
Yeah.
Trying to think of any other horror movie sequels that
I would say Sleepaway Camp 2.
you like.
You like more than the first one?
I love the first one.
The
but
first one is such an ending.
It's fantastic. I love it.
That is one of the best horror endings ever.
But I think
Talk about something you never see coming.
yeah.
The face that Felissa Rose is making at the end of was similar to the face I was making as I watched it happen. I was like,
Now,
what? Well,
now who was it?
It wasn't. It was a Felicia Rose mask
Okay,
right
yeah, you
over
were
a male
telling me that.
actor's
Yeah.
body.
That's why her head looks so big.
Yeah, and I guess the guy was really concerned because I think the water was very cold that
yeah,
day.
right. That's what they all say.
Very cold.
I was in the pool. I was in the pool.
You get the
Shrinks.
like a frightened turtle.
Yeah.
Like a frightened turtle.
Yeah. That guy was hung like a Ken
No,
doll.
but two holes its own. There's days where I'm more entertained by two than by one.
Well, I can see why 2 would be more entertaining because that's when they start getting more comical, right?
A little bit. Pamela Springsteen, who plays,
Bruce Springsteen's sister.
that's correct.
In real life, she plays
Yeah,
that.
who plays Angela.
Yeah.
I think did a fantastic job, and
She
had
was
little.
born to run.
Yeah, she was pretty crazy in those movies. But the craziness kind of came off very humorous, but the kills were still there, and I think it holds its own.
I remember the cover of
Yeah.
the VHS
Oh, the second one.
of the second one. That's the one where she's got the backpack and it's got like the glove
Yes.
hanging out, and the hockey mask, and
So many
It's like-
references.
oh yeah,
Yeah. But that's actually not her on the front.
no,
It's
not.
someone else.
Yeah,
Something about
So
a lot of
stupid.
horror movies, especially in the mid to late 80s, they use a lot of models on the cover. But when you watch the movie, it's a different actress. It's someone else. So.
You know, Dream Warriors. Getting back to Nightmare on Elm Street 3, that cover. There's nobody represented on that movie poster that's actually like a character in the
well, you
movie.
can't see them, right?
No, you can see them
You
all
see,
on
like,
the edge
Freddy's
of the
face,
gloves.
yeah.
But you can't
Yeah,
see their
yeah.
faces.
No, you can't see their faces, but you see. and
But
you're
you
like,
can tell they're different people.
they're totally different. It's
Yeah.
like somebody. It was a concept art.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably had the poster before the movie.
But
Like
but
we don't have a
that's-
script, but we got a poster.
Yeah.
They're like sold. There's $3 million. Shit, we got to give $2.5 million to Robert Englund. Before we get into Robert Englund, because we all met Robert Englund not that long ago. Well, I guess we could talk about Robert Englund
Sure.
right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we mentioned in the first episode how we waited in line for 8 hours. I will say David waited waited longer than me, and then me and my son came, and Alan came right after us.
Yeah.
And we were there 7.5, 7
Yeah, it
hours,
was a
all of
long
us
day.
together, before the doors even opened. It was pretty rough.
Yeah. We
you
were
got
there for a good while.
Now, Monsterpalooza a couple years ago had Robert Englund there, and we heard horror stories about Robert Englund.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
And
were in line for
not about him personally, but
we
about
were, yeah, I think we were in line for Keith David or somebody, and somebody was telling us about
yeah,
Robert
it
Englund.
was Keith David, because the guy in front of us was telling us about how he went to Monsterpalooza and said, "Oh God, we waited in line forever, and a bunch of people like snuck in front of us, and Robert Englund stopped signing autographs."
Yeah.
and-
like they
people
waited
got
for,
turned away.
Yeah, they waited for hours and didn't get his autograph or didn't get to meet him.
Yeah.
So when we found out he was coming to Mad Monster, we all decided this is what we're gonna do this.
I think doors opened at what 6 o'clock. I think I think doors opened at 6. I got there.
Like 11 or
With,
12, didn't you?
I got there. I think at noon,
Yeah.
right around noon. I think is when I arrived with my buddy Joey, who maybe we'll have on at some point.
Me and my son got there at about 1. Alan showed up a little bit after us.
Yeah.
And we were all waiting there, and it's like, fuck it, we're gonna wait here for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we're waiting, more people started to show up, and it starts getting a little more crowded
And a little disorderly. Like there is no line anymore.
Yeah.
Like people are just kind of standing
there's
around.
not really
like,
any structure
because it's so hot outside. Everyone's kind of congregated in this little lobby area.
But we make it known to everybody.
We were the first people here. Like,
yeah.
We're getting in first.
like we're very nice guys. I would give us that. But like we were pretty direct. We're like, hey, listen, this is the front of the line. Like I don't give a shit where people are standing. Like the front of the line is right here.
Yeah. Well, they told us the front. I don't care what they
Nope.
told you.
Nope.
This is the
Yep.
front of the line.
So so we got people showing up, and it's starting to, get a little more crowded. So I decided to go in and get a drink, and I want to
Which is always
shout
a
out.
good idea.
Oh, it was a fantastic drink, the Crystal Lake. Oh,
Yeah.
so much alcohol.
Well,
Anyways,
it's an adios, right?
yeah,
Like yeah.
With green added to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right? Or blue curacao
blue, yeah,
to make it blue.
it's basically a bunch of liquor with a little bit of Sprite.
Yeah.
But anyways, I come back out and there's a huge crowd, and I'm like, holy crap, this is getting serious. And there's no structure. There's nobody to say, all right, you guys here, you're first, line starts here. So it's kind of just like a little bit of a mix up, because even the staff didn't know where we were supposed to be.
It was
They were undecided.
It was a cluster, and then they started they told us we can no longer line up inside, so they had us move outside, and then so everybody just starts forming a line, and we were not the front of that line. So there were all these people lined up, and we walked out there, and I just looked the first person in line dead in the eye, and I just said, "Back up."
Well, and I will say this, like, okay, so we'll summarize this a little bit because we could go on forever.
This is an 8-hour story.
Yeah, exactly. But basically, what happens is we tell everybody who works there we were the first people here, and people back us up. The people that were second there are like, yeah, they were the first people here, but we were the second, right, guys?
Yeah,
we're like, yeah. Fine, whatever.
We
don't care about you. We care about you telling everybody that we were the first people here.
But here's what we didn't factor.
Okay.
Is
unless you're listening, we cared about you very much.
the VIP factor.
Okay, so none of us had VIP tickets.
We didn't think
got to enter an hour or half hour.
They got a half. It was
I think it was half an hour.
It was a half an hour. They get in earlier,
and that was a long 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of VIP people,
and we ended up finally in Robert Englund's line.
Yeah, and mind you, the line goes through a kitchen.
Yeah, it was through a kitchen.
It was through a kitchen. So waiting in the kitchen.
We could it had like one of those glass case type refrigerators where you could see like all of the food and stuff.
We could have made ourselves some drinks.
So
some cocktails.
So we're in line for this for a while, and then it's like, well, Robert Englund's got to go take pictures now because people that bought the photo op.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that we had to wait in line, and we were in the back of the line, and Alan had to get us to the front of the line, and we had to get over there, and we had to wait an hour, and then more VIPs show up and get in front of us, and then
luckily they had sympathy for us.
There was a couple of them, like a couple like very kind people, like let us.
They were
go
VIPs, and they said, you know what, these guys have been here way longer than us. We're gonna let them go. And Joe, you, Alan, me, and my son all got to go in front of them.
Yep.
Joe got a really cool thing signed. He got the the Nightmare on Elm Street board game.
Yeah.
Him and his brother.
Yeah. So Joey got an old like Nightmare on Elm Street board game that he and his brother used to play as kids, like the very game that they used to play. Got Robert Englund to sign it. He really liked it because he said he'd only signed a couple of them.
Yeah, I was right
opened
behind
it up
Joe
and was like looking through the cards.
Do you know that I got Joe to get an extra autograph for free?
I saw it. He signed one of the cards inside the game.
Now I hope Joe wasn't pissed off about that because in hindsight, I was like, oh shit. I told Robert Englund to sign one of those, and he did for free, right? Yeah. Joey didn't have to pay an extra $100.
Like the staff didn't catch it.
No, Robert Englund.
And I hope Joey wasn't
like,
I didn't want him to sign.
Do I need to give him another $100?
No, I hope he wasn't pissed off because he signed one of the cards, like he wanted to play the game again.
Robert Englund ruined my card. No, he was really excited about it.
Okay, cool. I just thought that was cool. I just said it kind of off the cuff. He's probably gonna be like, "You fucking asshole! You didn't." I did. I told him to sign it. I was standing right behind him. But yeah. So long story short, that was a very long story.
Long story long. Yeah.
If you're still with us, we waited 8 hours. But the thing about it is like,
it was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
That's all.
I don't mind waiting.
I didn't mind waiting. In hindsight, like it sucked at the time.
Especially when I got a Crystal Lake inside me. Oh man, that was so good.
but at the time it really sucked. And for my son, it really sucked. I mean, he's only 11 years old. He's 10 years old.
He was a trooper.
Yeah, he did.
He's the muscle of the group.
He was. But it really sucks. But it's like we did have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We were making a lot of
jokes.
That's
ultimately what we remember.
And Robert Englund was very cool. Remember when he came up behind everybody and he scared that girl?
Yeah, it was awesome.
And we got to chat with him, and he chatted with us about the weather of all things.
Is that what he talked to you about?
Yeah.
See,
he drew a picture for you. He drew a cartoon.
So I had him sign. So Robert Englund obviously was there, but several cast members from
was he?
He wasn't. It was really disappointing. 8 hours for nothing, bunch of bullshit. No, a bunch of cast members from Nightmare 4 were there because it was the 30-year anniversary.
That sounds correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I brought an original one sheet from Nightmare 4 for the cast to sign.
It's a great poster.
It's a really cool poster, good condition.
That has got really good artwork.
Yeah. And Robert, so he, like when I chatted with him, he talked about the artwork and he talked about some of the alternate artwork from other countries. He commented on like different parts of it. And then he drew like a caricature of Freddy Krueger on the poster, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was super nice.
Yeah, he was totally nice. And the only thing that I kind of am upset about is that we weren't able to get a picture taken with him.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that disappoints me. But regardless, it is what it is.
Yeah, ultimately, at the end of the day, I like displaying the autograph on the wall, you know.
And Alan, you got a photo, right?
Yeah.
Signed by him?
Yeah, so
An
I got
8x10.
I actually, while we were waiting in line to meet him, the line to his table, I branched away and, you know, I went over to Tuesday night's table.
Who is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Who is she?
Well, she's in Nightmare 4 and 3. No, she's
in 4. Well, yeah, in
a different character.
Yeah.
Or no, a different
she's
actress.
playing the Patricia Arquette character.
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah.
So she had a really cool photo of her and Freddy. So I was like, all right, cool. So she wasn't there actually at the table when I went, but her helper, I explained to her, I was like, hey, I want to get this signed by Robert Englund. Like, you know, I'll pay you for the photo now, but can I come back and get her to sign it? And she was cool with that. So I took the photo and Robert Englund signed it, and he was kind of looking at it, and he signed it, calling her a slut and all this other stuff. And it was like, holy crap. So he was like, show her that. And I'm like, okay. So I get it signed. I bring it, like, you know, when we get done with the Freddy table. So then we go later on to Tuesday night's table, and she looks at it. She's like, she's starting to get pissed off, but like not genuinely pissed off, but she's just kind of like, why did you write this? You know? And so she kind of responded to him, but signing my photo with it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, fuck that. I'm not a slut. Like, fuck you, Freddie. And
yeah,
so I got kind of like a banter between
That's
the two
cool.
actors on one photo. So it's pretty cool.
And I ended up taking one of the NECA Friday Nightmare on Elm Street. I would say Friday 13th. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 NECA figures still in the box, and I had them sign that. And it turned out really good. I have that displayed on my wall. I haven't opened it.
Yeah.
The point to this story, this 8-hour-long story about an 8-hour-long thing, is that conventions are fun.
Yeah.
And this convention was a lot of fun.
It really was.
Yeah.
Let's talk about bad sequels, like really awful sequels.
And not like Born to be bad, like bad. Like,
Born to be bad. What are you talking about?
Born to be bad.
Bad sequels that I think are worse.
Yeah, what do you got?
Make everything worse. Well,
Jason Goes to Hell.
oh fuck. I mean, I could go off for about every Friday the 13th fan could go off for about, I don't know, days on
That was
end.
the first one that came to mind. Yeah, it seems.
You know,
like
I
an
saw
obvious
Jason
one.
Goes to Hell in the theater too. I also saw Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare.
That was another one. Freddy's Dead's terrible.
I saw two of the worst
Freddy's Dead
movies
God.
ever made.
I was waiting for it to end. I was like,
You know,
come
in the
on.
theater, it was cool because it had 3D glasses and you put them on.
For like 5 seconds.
Yeah, for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And I always thought that
It was like
kinda
Bride
cool.
of Frankenstein. Like
It was.
tease.
Yeah,
Like, you're gonna
it
get
was
5
like-
seconds of
It's like,
Freddy in 3D.
Wasn't it somebody like throwing stuff or something? Like it wasn't even that like
I don't
even
what the
remember.
3D
it was forgettable.
I don't remember what the 3D was.
I don't even remember, and I saw that movie not very long ago. That's how terrible that movie.
You know, I
is.
only saw that movie once and it was in the
really.
theaters.
Oh, it's so bad.
No, I might have seen clips of it when it's been on TV, but I remember the Breckenmeyer. Wasn't it Breckenmeyer?
Yeah, but I think you're right. Yeah,
He was
one
the
of the
stoner
at-risk, yeah, he's like one of the at-risk youths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was also the stoner dude in
Yeah,
Clueless,
yeah.
which I watched today.
Holy shit. That's right.
It all comes full circle to
He keeps his
Breckenmeyer.
bong in the kitchenware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, that's where I keep it. Another bad sequel. You know, Scream 2.
I don't think it's terrible, but
It's not. Well, Scream 3 is really bad.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Scream 3, as far as like the Scream series goes, is by far the worst. And I actually like Scream 4.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Jaws.
But Scream 3,
Oh.
Jaws the Revenge. This time it's personal.
That's
That's
right.
the worst.
Jaws, I don't know if you know this, but Jaws is a serial killer who is hunting the entire Brody family one by one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes
And-
0 sense.
He's a shark that when he jumps out of the water, he growls.
This is a fish.
This is
it's
a
not
fish.
even a mammal. This is an invertebrate. Like he has no spine.
Yeah.
No.
This is a ridiculous
It
movie.
makes
You know
absolutely no
what
sense.
another bad sequel is of a horror film?
Hmm.
The Heretic, Exorcist 2.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen that one?
I saw it one time.
I saw it. It was forgettable. I saw it on TV.
Forgettable. Holy shit. Not to mention Linda Blair's a... No, Linda Blair was very nice. She was just a little angry that David hit her with his poster.
I did. I hit her with my backpack, and she was none too pleased.
We were talking about sequels that were good. We were talking about sequels that were bad, but there's also those sequels that kind of take a left turn.
Yep.
Alan, you had mentioned before to us about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and your disappointment with that one.
But it's not bad, but it's...
I argue that movie is really, really good, except for when you've seen the first one right before it.
That makes sense, right?
It takes a different turn. It takes a different take. Although it's written or directed, at least by Tobe Hooper, it is a totally different take on the character of Leatherface.
Yeah.
And but you had some of the same actors in there. Well, you had one same actor. I guess the dad is the only same actor, right? Maybe.
Oh yeah, he is in both. Huh?
He's in both.
He's in both. But it's more of a comedy,
Right.
a dark comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought Bill Moseley does great as Chop Top, and I think it's a very underrated film, but it takes a different turn. Another one of those films is Halloween 3.
Yeah.
Underrated.
Agreed.
Disrespected.
I've always enjoyed it. It's the first Halloween movie I ever saw as a kid. So when I was growing up, that was the first one that my dad showed me. I had no idea who Michael Myers was. I didn't know that Michael Myers was a thing. I didn't know that people were upset when Part 3 came out and there was no Michael Myers in it. To me, it was just that was what Halloween movies were. It was that. I love that movie. I think Carpenter's score in it is really, really good.
It's a different score.
Yeah. It's a little
Halloween movies,
moodier.
right?
It's darker.
Yeah.
It's not the Michael Myers.
Yeah. It's its own thing, and it's just dark and moody. And I love the concept of really, like, when you think about the movies about killing kids, like the Michael
morbid.
Myers movies were killing
Pretty
horny
grim.
teenagers who were doing crazy things, but like this was like innocent children. And you had, a town or this guy that was like, putting this plan together to murder children, and he's successful.
Yeah,
in the
for
end.
what reason?
Yeah, I don't know.
He is successful
do we ever
because-
get a motive?
I don't remember. It's been I need to watch
He's
it
just
again.
like, fuck these people. I'm a Celtic warrior.
But it's a weird movie. Like, there's characters in it. Like, are they robots? Are they
They're
zombies?
They're robots.
They're robots, right?
They are robots. Some of them.
Like, that's weird.
Because they all look alike too,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, isn't there a twist? Like, isn't the girl?
But she's only a robot because they capture
Yeah,
her and
that's
they
right. And
turn
they,
her
like,
into one.
Yeah,
they
okay.
replicate her.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Because Tom Atkins fucks her.
Yeah.
He's not fucking a robot.
Maybe with the technology that the Silver Shamrock Novelties Company had, maybe
they had some-
maybe they had some realistic.
At that point, like, if you have the technology to replicate people and make them into robots,
that's the first thing we're gonna do, though.
why do you need to kill all the kids in the world? Like,
What's
just make the robot people.
motivation? Yeah, does he ever get into like his
because it's inspiring.
his hatred of children? Is that ever addressed in the movie?
I got picked on by children when I
Yeah.
was a child.
I was a kid once, and I hated every minute of it.
My parents
Kill 'em
hated
all.
me. Fuck you.
And the movie ends with Tom Atkins, trying to stop it and failing, and
Yeah.
presumably thousands of children die.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's a cool movie.
I also saw the movie when I was a kid, and it was on TNT. Joe Bob Briggs Monster Vision, or no, what was it?
Yeah,
Can't
Monster
remember.
Vision.
Joe Bob. So, I didn't know about any of the disappointment from fans. Michael
Had you
Myers
seen
wasn't.
part 1 or 2?
No,
that point?
that was also like Dave. That was the first Halloween I have ever seen. And
I remember at school one day, my teacher, I was probably in like 5th grade, 6th grade, was talking about movies, about how like at the end, like the good guy always wins. And I was like, not in Halloween 3. And this was like, I was a kid. I didn't realize at the time what I was saying. Like, hopefully my parents didn't get like CPS called on them or something.
man.
But
Halloween 3 was always on TV when I was growing up.
Right.
Like on Halloween night, we'd come home from trick-or-treating and Halloween 3 would be on. Like they would never show, well, when I was really young, 1 and 2 would be on. But then like they must have lost the rights to it. And Halloween 3 is like, fuck, it doesn't cost that much. We could air this one. So Halloween 3 was on quite a bit.
you get the little Silver Shamrock song stuck in your head.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, Halloween 3 is good. It does take that left turn. Again,
I
it's
think
like
Halloween 3 is great. And it's one of Tom Atkins, one of his best roles, probably his best role.
I'd take him in Night of the Creeps.
Oh, he was great in
We
that
got to
too.
talk about that in
Night
some
of the
episode.
Creeps is a good movie.
I love that
Yeah.
movie.
Friday 13th Part 5. We talked about it in the first episode. That's another one. It's not the same as the other ones.
Yeah, because there's no Jason, no real Jason.
No real Jason. Part 9 is kind of like that too, now that I think about it.
Yeah, 9 is
Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah,
That's a weird fucking movie.
it really is.
It sucks.
It's terrible.
That one is weird and it sucks. 5 is different and it's not that bad. It's at least
5's good.
5's entertaining.
It's at least not as bad as people make it out to be.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street 2 does the same thing. Now, there had only been one previous to that one, but 2 takes it in a weird direction, and then they kind of come back to like, okay, wait a second, we're back in part 3.
Yeah.
And they follow that same formula from there on out. But part 2 is like the main kid.
Yeah, isn't it like Freddy's trying to find a
Host
like
body.
a host? Yeah.
He's like, you got the body, I got the brains.
And he gets in the real world. Yeah.
Yeah, he comes out at that party.
Yeah. He's a new kid in town. He moves into the neighborhood where it all went down, and Freddy starts haunting him.
It's Freddy goes to a pool party.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very strange.
Yeah, they kind of threw out the logic that Wes Craven had in mind in the first one, and definitely 2 took
At
a
some
turn.
point, like there were writers, important people sitting in a room, and they're like, and then there's this pool party, and they're like, go on, yes, yes, I like where we're going with this.
Yep.
This is a winner.
So Freddy's at the pool party, right?
Like, oh, absolutely, he's at the pool party. He's having the time of his life.
Gotta have him at the pool party.
Can he swim? Yeah, so that was kind of a weird one, but you guys say you don't like it. I haven't seen it in a long time, so I need to watch it again.
I'd say it's slightly better than Freddy's Dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which sucks. Okay. What are we going to talk about next? We only got a little bit more time, but we wanted to talk about, there's another convention coming to town.
There is, for us Phoenicians, there is a Walker Stalker convention, which is a Walking Dead themed convention that has kind of turned into a traveling thing that now they're doing it in different cities. I'm really glad it's coming here because I was actually briefly considering going to Atlanta. Right? Yeah. Which after I priced it out there was just no way it was going to work.
Atlanta would be cool though because that's where they film it.
Yeah, and I thought that would be cool, and I figured Atlanta would probably get, because they film it there, a really good turnout as far as the actors.
Atlanta's a cool city too.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's coming too. I love The Walking Dead. I think it's a great show. I like zombie stuff. I think Walking Dead just does a good job. It's I was talking to Alan. We were driving up here today. We were talking about episodic television shows that we watch, and Walking Dead is like one of 3 shows that I'm like, I'll watch it live.
Yeah.
I don't record it. I mean, I do record it just in case I miss it, but I'll watch it live on TV as it happens, just because I love the show. They haven't announced the full lineup yet.
There's been no guests announced yet.
We've looked at other ones in other cities and seen who's going to be there. So it looks like they have good.
Yeah.
I mean,
most of the cities get a pretty good turnout as far as like the actors go. Most of them will have at least 2 or 3 like major people from the show.
So the major characters right
Plus a bunch of
now,
minor characters.
the major characters right now, I mean, besides Rick,
Be like Negan
and Daryl.
Michonne, Daryl.
And they're all there.
Yeah.
Rick, I don't think he does.
Rick usually doesn't, I don't think.
But
He lives in. Yeah,
spoiler alert, he's going to die this season.
Yeah.
I think it's been confirmed.
Yeah. Or he's leaving the show, whatever that means.
Whatever that means. He's going
Which
to
usually
die.
on that show means death.
Rick's a punk ass bitch.
I like Rick. I'm a big Negan fan. I know a lot of people that have abandoned the show have abandoned it because they hate Negan.
Yeah.
I think he's the most interesting character on the whole show.
Well,
he's my favorite character in the comic book series. Like I'm a Negan fan.
Well, and he was on Howard Stern talking about defending his character actually, and he said, "Look, everybody thinks I'm a bad guy. I'm not the bad guy. Rick and his crew were the ones that killed my people first. That's why I had to defend my people." He's like, I had everybody under wraps. I had everybody working as a society. He was just the leader of the society, and he led with a strong law. But you know what? That's what they need sometimes. It can't all be a utopian society, Rick.
Iron Fist.
And the exciting part of like the arc of the character, and spoiler alert right now, if you have never read the comic book or you want to know, like you smash your phone against a rock right now or blow up your computer or shut this off. But
Probably just shut
Negan
it.
becomes a good guy. Like Negan's character like develops into a caring person who like helps people and he saves a bunch of lives.
I don't think he's never. I don't think he's ever not caring.
Yeah.
Though. I always think he's caring. He just is doing the best that he can do given the circumstances that they're in.
Yeah.
And the circumstance they were in when he was quote unquote a bad guy.
And it looks like, based on what I've seen of trailers of the upcoming season, it looks like they're going to follow the comic book narrative and have him make that transformation, because it's kind of falling in line with what happens in the comic book. He's in jail right now, like in a jail cell, and some things are gonna happen, and he's gonna prove that whose side he's really on, and he's gonna help everybody out.
Yeah.
And it looks like this season they're going to introduce, for anybody who reads the comics, characters called the Whisperers, who are a group of people who are humans that wear the flesh of dead people and walk amongst the walkers and basically live like a very nomadic lifestyle, like amongst zombies, and they travel within the herd.
And they go undetected?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they
because-
call them the Whisperers because they kind of speak to each other, but in like zombie whispered voices. So like the zombies don't actually hear them talking.
Yeah. So in The Walking Dead, if you have the guts and blood and skin of a dead person, excuse me, if you have that on your body, the dead won't come after you.
Yeah,
They don't want dead flesh. They want live, living
Yeah.
flesh. So they've escaped a few times.
Well, don't we all?
They've escaped a few times going back to the first season.
Yeah,
Like when
wearing-
Glenn and Rick and I forget who else. They
They've
were
done
all,
it a handful of times in the show where they kind of slather themselves
Yeah.
in blood and guts. And
I always thought, well, why don't you just do that all the time? So
And
I
there's
guess
a group of
these
people that are like,
whispers
"Yep."
who are like, yeah, no shit.
yeah, I'm excited. I know, at least speaking for Brett, we both have Walking Dead pinball machines. We're pretty big Walking Dead fans.
Yeah.
The game. I've got on my pinball machine the Translite, which is like the marquee of the machine. I've got it signed by a few of the actors that we've met at various conventions, and that's something I'm looking forward to as far as the Walker Stalker convention is getting as many folks on there as financially possible.
Financially possible.
That marquee is
you know-
going to fill up with signatures.
God willing.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'm
You're going
honestly,
to run out of room.
Negan's probably the one Jeffrey Dean Morgan's probably the one I'm
Now
most
that's
interested in.
that's
or-
an interesting conundrum I'm in, because The Walking Dead pinball goes up to the season of the Governor,
yeah,
which is like the third season, maybe third season.
something like that, third or fourth.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan hasn't been introduced when that game came out.
But if you have, so some people have hacked like the game basically where you can run code that has updated voice clips added, and mine's got tons of Negan in it.
And mine does too,
Yeah.
but
yeah, if you're like the actual missions in the game and stuff don't coincide with what's going on in the show now.
No.
Correct.
whatever.
Yeah, who cares?
Semantics.
It's
It's
pinball.
Walking Dead.
It's just
It's all Walking
it's
Dead.
fun.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
Walking Dead.
And I did just briefly.
That game's awesome, by the way.
One of
way.
it's fantastic.
It's
At
a
one of the
great pin.
previous shows, Steve Ewan was there, who played Glenn on the show. I did not get him to sign my Translate because this is before I started collecting signatures on the Translate, but I did have him sign a replica Lucille bat. Kind of cruel because poor Glenn gets his brains bashed in.
By the bat.
Yeah, and it's like the bloodied up version of the bat. He thought it was cool though when he signed it, and that actually hangs right above my machine.
The only unfortunate part about that was that he signed it in red.
He signed it in red ink.
So you can
and
barely
it's-
see it.
Yeah, you can't really see
blends
it
in with
unless
all
I
the
point it out. Like, it's really hard to see. Like, I was a little bummed when he signed it. I was like, oh, not red. No.
He was very cool about it, though.
Yeah, he was cool.
That was at Son of Monsterpalooza, yeah.
Yeah, that was
Maybe
fun.
if you meet him again, he can sign over it.
Or,
Perhaps.
if I meet him again, I'll just have him sign the translated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that we learned from our mistake, though, with Mad Monster, and we bought VIP tickets to Walker Stalker.
Yeah, Walker Stalker, we will be the assholes.
I
at
might
the front of the line.
I might only be able to go to one of those days, though, because that's my wedding anniversary
That's a
weekend.
bummer.
And well, it's technically
It's Monday. Didn't you say it was Monday?
yeah, my wedding anniversary is actually on Monday. So, but you know,
'Cause, yeah, it's Saturday, Sunday, right? It's-
Yeah, it's
yeah,
Saturday,
but she'll
Sunday.
probably want to do something on the weekend. That would make sense.
yeah.
Is she into
probably.
the show?
No, she hates it.
Oh,
she
that's a
liked
bummer.
it for a while, but now she hates it because she's like, every season is the same shit over and over again. Whether it's the governor, whether it's Negan, whether it's
Yeah,
whoever the fuck.
It's true, but it's part of the. It's all part of the fun.
It's a good show, though.
It is. I like it.
So looking forward to that. That's in January 26th, 27th here in Phoenix.
Yeah, and there's some other ones coming up in other cities too. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, check it out. I think it's walkerstalker.com. I think is a website. And if you like them on Facebook, they will spam your timeline
Yeah.
like with like 5 updates a day. So it's impossible to miss anything that's going on with Walker Stalker.
Speaking of upcoming conventions, Son of Monsterpalooza is coming up.
Next weekend, I think.
Yeah.
And none of
The
us
silence speaks
and
volumes
the
about
three
that
of
one.
us will not
So-
be in attendance.
So last year, who did we have?
Last year was The Thing. Several cast members from John
Every-
Carpenter's The Thing.
Everybody but Kurt Russell.
Yep. Yeah,
Well, just about
pretty much all the main
everybody, yeah.
characters. Yeah, so you had Wilford Brimley.
Everybody
Keith
who's
David.
alive.
Like 5
Yeah.
or 6 characters.
Yeah, several of them. Natasha Henstridge was there.
From
Linnea
Species.
Quigley.
Linnea Quigley,
from everything. Silent Night, Deadly Night, Return of the Living Dead.
Creepazoids.
Yeah, she's been in tons of shit. Christy Swanson from Buffy the Vampire Slayer was there. We had a lot of people there. It was a lot of fun.
It was a
the
great
kid
lineup.
from Trick or Treat who played
Sam.
Sam.
And there's
he was
people
there.
we're forgetting too, but it
Oh,
was
there were
such a
there were
great
tons of people. It was a
lineup.
great
Well,
lineup.
Steve Yen,
Oh yeah.
from
From Walking Dead.
Walking Dead was there. So this year, this is who the guests are. Kathy and Jimmy
from Hocus Pocus.
from
And
Hocus Pocus.
Don't forget Sister Act.
I
And,
saw-
and the delightful sequel,
I saw
Sister Act 2
Hocus-
Back in the
Hocus
Habit.
Pocus in theaters.
Did
She
you?
was-
I know.
yeah,
I
She was
did not.
also Peggy on King of the Hill.
Oh
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, that's great.
For Fairuza Balk, who's at all of them.
Is that from The Craft?
Yep. Mindy Sterling, Austin Powers.
Oh,
Why
was
is she there?
Was she Frau?
She was Frau.
You know, for the
What
longest
horror
time,
film?
I thought Mindy Sterling in Austin Powers was Lily Tomlin. I thought
they kind of have that.
like a miniature.
Yeah. Yeah.
She,
It's saying she was in Austin Powers,
when I saw
Drop
the
Dead
page,
Gorgeous, and Legend of Korra.
When I saw the page in her
Okay.
guest photo, I was like, wait, I thought that was Lily Tomlin.
Joanna Cassidy from Blade Runner.
oh yeah, yeah. And
Ghost of
Who Framed
Mars.
Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Annabeth Gish.
From the X Files.
Yeah. Jake Busey from The Frighteners. Doyle
Oh, from
from
the
The
Misfits.
Misfits.
Yeah.
Oh, hey Doyle.
Kim Coates, who was in Sons of Anarchy. Piper Laurie.
From Carrie. That's it.
Yeah, she was in
That's true.
Carrie.
Was she in Carrie?
She the mom?
I don't know. She was in The Faculty.
Oh yeah, she's one of the. she's one of
Steve
the
Dash
faculty members.
played Jason in Friday
Part
13th Part 2.
two.
Dee Wallace.
Dee Wallace is
I like
super
She's,
nice.
she's,
Dee Wallace
at,
is awesome.
she's at a lot of these too.
And we got to meet her at Mad Monster, and she was
That's the
super
best
nice.
person you've said so far.
yeah.
Yeah.
Her and Steve Dash.
Mark Boone Jr. He's from Sons of Anarchy also.
Okay.
Jeremy Davies.
Who? What's he? in?
Well, he was in a few shows, but he was in Saving Private Ryan, Spanking the Monkey. Have you ever seen that movie? It's actually a funny movie. Well, not funny. It's a good movie. It was not a comedy. It was just
It's called
independent film.
Spanking the Monkey, and it's not a comedy.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's about this guy. He ends up fucking his mom. Anyway, Brian Thompson.
I don't. No
Exactly.
relation. I don't know.
Lori Petty.
Oh, from Tank Girl.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But why? Why is she there?
Isn't she also in
She's in
A League of Their Own?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good for a horror movie convention.
Yeah.
Alec Gillis. Yeah. Who is he?
I don't know who that is.
30 years of Amalgamated Dynamics Inc. Whatever. Tom Woodruff Jr. Again, 30 years of Amalgamated. These are like people. Thomas Jane is going to be there with the Punisher.
He was in the Punisher.
Yeah. Marshall Bell from Starship Troopers.
So now some of these guests you're reading off, they're only there for presentations.
Yeah, some of them
you
are.
Can't really. I don't think you can meet them.
Yeah. William Forsythe.
He was in Dick Tracy.
Devil's Rejects. Yeah.
Sybil Danning.
Howling 2.
Yep. Wednesday Addams. Lisa Loring.
Oh, from the original TV show? Okay.
Yep. Christine Elise from Child's Play 2.
All right.
Yeah.
She was
in,
at something we went to, right?
She was just here recently.
Yeah. Was
for
she a Mad
Monster?
Monster?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she was in Body Snatchers.
Lance Henriksen.
All right, cool. He's one that I wanted to
He was
meet.
here too.
Yeah,
We saw him.
and I missed him.
I missed him too.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, you know who's going to be there? This is kind of cool. Joe Dante.
Joe Dante is cool. He hits a presentation though, right?
It is. It's a Sunday presentation,
Yeah,
so
so
we wouldn't have
ones,
gone anyway.
Those ones are like, yeah, you might catch him, you might not.
Oh, how about this? He just got added. Tony Todd.
Oh, that's cool. Candyman.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
That is cool.
Danny Pintaro
From
Cujo.
And who's the boss?
Who's the boss?
Yeah.
I'd have him sign one of them. Then they're doing a presentation, but from Face Off, the TV show about special effects makeup.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Mackenzie Westmore and V. Neal and all those people. The Chiodo brothers are going to be there from Killer Clowns from Outer
Those
Space.
guys are really cool.
Yeah,
They're very nice.
Yeah.
It's been 30 years since that movie came out.
Yeah.
A couple guys from Tales from the Hood, Rusty Cundiff and Darren Scott. And then we got Robert Brian Wilson and Eric Freeman from Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2.
All right.
So that's kind of cool. And then you got Gary Morgan, who played the dog in Cujo, which is so weird.
That's really weird.
So basically what I'm saying is,
yeah,
this lineup sucks.
No disrespect to any of the people, but yeah, that's a pretty weak lineup.
and a bunch of people canceled.
Yeah. 3 people canceled.
Yeah, they had I saw Mrs. Futterman from Gremlins and Gremlins 2 was on there, which would have been kind of fun.
Gremlins 2, the new batch, has been getting kind of a push these days.
I like Gremlins 2. It's funny.
I've seen it. It was on TV the
I like
other
the
day.
first one.
It kind of goes in that category too of like sequels that take a turn because that one's definitely a comedy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
100%.
That one's very zany.
They start singing
Yeah, the New York song
New York,
at the end.
New York, and it's just weird.
Yeah, it is strange.
But they got Phoebe Cates back for it.
They did.
I love Phoebe Cates.
Mm.
So Son of Monsterpalooza, if you go, let us know. Let us know what you think of it. We're not going to be there this year because we just didn't like the lineup
The
enough.
lineup, yeah, just to drive or fly out there, get a
Yeah.
hotel and all
You
that
know,
stuff. It's just not.
Some of these people we've already met.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not really a big headliner, and usually there is.
Yeah, that's what was kind of disappointing. I mean, no disrespect to Kathy and Jimmy. She's the number one person billed this year. But when that's your number one person billed for a horror movie convention, it's someone from Hocus Pocus. Like
A children's movie.
yeah. Anyway,
It's a fun movie, but
if
yeah,
you
I'm
go-
not going.
if you go, let us know. And how can they let us know, David?
They can let us know on Twitter at the Swearwolves. You can go to our website, www.theswearwolves.com. You can like us on Facebook. We are the Swearwolves. Or you can email us at swearwolvespodcast@gmail.com.
And if you have any questions or any comments or any suggestions of upcoming episodes or topics you'd like us to discuss, please do contact us, email us.
If you're on a site that can give reviews, we appreciate any reviews that you can give us, especially the positive ones. If it's negative, maybe do like the thing at work where you type an email but you don't send it.
Yep.
You know, write that nasty review, sleep on it, and then maybe forget about it the next day.
Delete
You
it.
could do that, yeah.
So for the Swearwolves this week, I am Brett.
I'm David.
I'm Alan.
And we'll see you guys next week.